Hey YouTube, welcome back to our channel. My name is Elena.
And I'm Bjorn.
And we are Viking Age reenactors and living historians here to talk with you about your favorite Viking shows.
Today we're taking a look at Vinland Saga episode 15. Yeah, I like the way that they handle like the dramatization of the historical facts. Like it kind of follows along the same route, but it kind of takes its own little direction and stuff.
Harold did ascend to the Danish throne after Sven's death. Knute didn't take the Danish throne until, I believe, I want to say 1018 was the year that he took over the Danish throne. He was already king of England at that point.
Technically, I mean, historically, typically, in a Christian culture, when a father dies or whatever, the property and the deeds, like the belongings and everything, gets split up between their children. That's kind of what happened with the Holy Roman Empire. When Charlemagne died, it went to his son, and his son had 3 sons, and so he actually had to split the kingdom amongst the 3 of them. And then the Holy Roman Empire fell into infighting because then each brother was trying to gain control of the other brother's land and property and consolidate their own power. So long story short, it would make sense that Harold historically would take the throne of Denmark or whatever, be given the throne of Denmark, being the elder brother. But we'll see. And we know historically what happens because it's 1,000 years too late for that spoiler.
Yeah, but to that point too, when it came to kings that had a lot of kids, even just taking Harold Fairhair, he had a favorite son, and the favorite son was not the eldest, and Harold worked to make sure that he would ascend to the throne after his death, basically.
Are we talking about Eric?
Huh?
Are we talking about Eric?
Yeah.
Eric killed his brothers to get the throne.
Right, but he was also kind of helped along by Harold Fairhair.
I don't know if there was anything specifically that was royalty shouldn't do a thing, because I feel like there's plenty of examples of kings doing stuff, and Olaf Tryggvason in the Icelandic sagas was out swimming and entered a competition, a swimming competition with one of the random protagonists, kind of under the guise of a commoner, not a commoner, but he just didn't tell him who he was, and he was undressed and just in his skivvies basically, and challenged a dude to a swimming race, which is just a very with all the other guys and all kinds of things like that. And there's actually but then there's also a kind of merit to it, because when King Alfred in England, in Wessex, was in hiding, he actually found himself at just some common woman's home who took him in basically because he looked tired and sickly and stuff or whatever. This was when he was in hiding after he kind of got dethroned briefly by the Viking invasion. And there's a famous story about him cooking flatbreads basically, and she invited him in the house, and she was okay, you can just stay here, relax by the fire, warm yourself. But I have to do a thing and get some stuff ready in the other room, so if you don't mind, could you watch my cakes and just flip them so they don't burn? And he was yeah, totally, sure, absolutely. But he was also known very much as a thinker, so the story goes that he was watching the cakes and then just lost track of all time, just getting lost in his thoughts, and burnt the cakes, scorched them, and then she came back in and was are you helpless? What's wrong with you? You couldn't just flip the cake over? Useless. But he also didn't identify himself as King Alfred of Wessex. He just was oh yeah, my name's Alfred. And she was nice to meet you, Alfred. My name's Commoner Woman 2 in the credits of this story.
Yeah, when it came to kings, we really don't hear too much about them doing a lot of stuff that commoners do.
Yeah.
A lot of what we hear about kings is, how they ruled their kingdoms, whether they stayed at home a lot or whether they went raiding, how their country fared under their rule, basically.
Yeah,
we don't really hear too much about them kind of stooping down to our level.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, and it absolutely makes sense and everything. That's kind of why they have, servants and thralls and stuff, is to do the physical labor for them. That's kind of why I feel later on in the period, we associate, being fat or being pale or having like soft hands or something are like these virtuous signs of a person, because it shows that you have excess and you can afford to eat. It shows that you don't have to go out in the sun and work, you know, and toil physically. And it shows that you don't have to like have a craft or anything because you're wealthy enough to just have other people do it for you. So it definitely makes sense that, you know, what King Sven was saying in the show of, you know, you have people for that.
And a lot of that I feel like was also kind of playing off of the, you know, them trying to showcase how much more King Sven appreciated his other son rather than Knute, because Knute was this like little soft boy who would cook as a hobby, and that was not very kingly. Again, not a ton happening in this episode except for a little bit of exposition, and we're getting a little bit of the character backstory. Knute is now talking, so that's fantastic.
We're learning things about his character.
Yeah.
I don't like keep mistaking him for just like a silent, shy girl. It's pretty great. There's like some character in it.
Yeah. And then the only other aspect of this episode, and we've talked about this before, so it will probably be repeating ourselves a little bit, but Thorkel's little piece in this episode was basically him just kind of expounding on how a warrior does as a warrior does, and if there is no war, then a warrior has no place in this world. Basically, and it's sort of just going, you know, full head on. I am a warrior, and there's nothing else that I can do in this life except for fight others.
Yeah.
So if there is no war, I will make myself one.
Yeah, that's like a very, very strong like warrior creed mentality kind of thing. Of like, if there's war, there is nothing.
Yeah.
Like, yeesh.
Yeah, he's basically the epitome of a Jomsviking, I want to say, at that point, because that's like basically what they lived for. They sold themselves to kings to fight.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, sell swords.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you can be notified of our future videos, and we'll see you in the next one.